Go with it without the music. As I walk through the valley of the... When I do that, you have to pick it up.
Shadow of death.
I don't know the rest.
I take a look at my life and realise there's nothing left.
I'm not feeling this energy.
Because I've been blasting, laughing so long. Even my mama think that my mind has gone. I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. He'd be treated like a punk, you know, that's unheard of. Better watch how you're walking, the way you're talking. Are you and your homies lying to joke? I really...
Yeah, I would have shot you by now. That wasn't rapping it.
I was just speaking it.
That was painful. I got anxiety watching that. What's another song you would sing to save your life?
Anything Britney. Britney.
My mind's gone. Hit me, baby, one more time.
Everyone knows
baby,
the lyrics
baby.
to like every Britney song, certainly the early ones.
I'm very bad at lyrics. I'm not, I'm one of them. I don't really know the words to many songs. Like I pick up phases. The one thing I know is the rap to Down.
Got him?
Baby, are you down, 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 down?
Oh, amazing.
No, I have to try to get into the down, down. Even if the sky is falling down like she blows for me, she gets down low for me, down like a temperature. Now she meets easy rolling, now she go all over. I got that girl from overseas, now she's my Miss America. Can I be a soldier, please? I'm fighting for this girl on the battlefield of love. Got me look like baby Cupid sending arrows from above. Don't you ever leave this side of me, not definitely, no problem, man. Honestly, I'm down like that. Mad.
Yeah, I think we got all of that.
I would have saved my life.
This guy. Hello everybody, welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's James and I actually managed to nail the intro this week. Hello Clayton, how are you?
Hello mate, I'm good. Football is back, no more international break. So yeah.
Disastrous weekend for Tottenham, dropping down to 4th. Bad weekend. Yeah, see, we can't really review the game week because the main event hasn't happened yet. So
yeah. Mid-game week review.
So, no, it's not. Suj is obviously still on holiday. He's back on Wednesday for the Sky Fantasy Football podcast. Me and Clayton will be covering off the 9 games played so far in game week 9. But I can't remember much of it because I drank way too much on Saturday. Not going to lie.
And
I'm still suffering.
You started for the Merseyside Derby, right?
Yeah.
And you stopped at what time?
Not long after Diogo Dalot scored for Manchester United, basically.
So how much do you remember of your day on Saturday?
Oh, not a lot, but I'll blag it on the way through. No. I watched the 4 game, watched Man City Brighton on Saturday as well, so we'll cover off quite a bit on that particular game as well.
How's your game week been so far?
Not too bad. All right. Yeah, I've got 3 Tottenham to go tonight, right, in Maddison, Son and Udogie. So let's see what happens tonight. I realise that's a popular 3 and many of you listening or watching will probably have that 3 as well, or Porro, or some people have got Richarlison. That's you, isn't it?
That is me indeed.
I'm on 56 points. I bought Shimikas for Sven Botman very late on Friday night.
Would you have changed your mind if Eddie Howe was honest?
And said like, oh, he's out for 2 weeks. No, I definitely would have done it.
Yeah.
Cool. So it was a calculated risk to know sure he could play, but for me it was more looking about future weeks and going, I'm going to end up benching Botman here anyway. So the reason I wanted to get Shimikas in Friday night when he might have gone up in price, he didn't, rather than wait for the team news for it to be confirmed. 1, I was pretty confident he'd play. 2, leaving myself 1.2 million in the bank left me the option that I can go to Gabriel Martinelli this week.
Yep.
And that was key for me. I'm probably going to go Jared Bowen anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I wanted to leave myself that option open to be able to get to Martinelli if I wanted to, which if I'd waited for Saturday morning and gone up in price, that was off the table for me. So unless I sold one of the Tottenham players, which I may well end up doing later in the week, there's every chance I might take a -4 this week. So Shimikas in, 6 points, just about just before he got taken off, just after the hour, which felt like payback for all those times I'd been on Liverpool defensive players in years gone by and they conceded dumbass goals when they were 3-0 up. Saka with the assists. Jeremy Doku, I don't know how he's only got 6 points out of that first half against Brighton on Saturday, was very good. 9 for Alvarez, 11 for Watkins, captain Haaland for 16. So I'm on 56 with the 3 Tottenham to go tonight. What about you, mate?
I've done all right so far. I'm on 67 points with another Tottenham trio to go, but one of my trio includes Richarlison, like I said, which people will laugh, but I still think it was a wild card game week 8 punt, and he could have done better against Luton.
You still think that Morgan Gibbs-White's going to do something for you as well, don't you?
He should have this weekend as well. But yeah, 67. My main returnees were Dan Burn with a nice little clean sheet. Got Mo Salah as my vice captain, so I did go for Haaland cap. And then I've got Mbeumo and Watkins as well. But I had a bit of a clanger with my defensive choices.
Go on.
I benched Diogo Dalot and I started Matty Cash.
Oh, lovely.
So on the differential show, you literally said I would play Dalot and I went, nope, benched.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Because I was telling, to be honest,
you said Cash would play right midfield.
I did think he probably would play right midfield.
So that's what swung it for me. So, yeah, thanks, mate.
I think I was telling most people on the deadline stream Saturday morning before I started drinking, although some people might think it was why I was drinking, that I would play Cash over Dalot. And I think I was saying I'd play Newcastle defenders, even the likes of Burn ahead of Dalot. So I think I'd have done the same thing, actually.
And his goal was a
I'd have
wallaby
probably
as well.
benched Richarlison.
Really?
No.
At home to Fulham?
No, I wouldn't have, no.
Yeah, and Dallow's goal, which we'll talk about later, was obviously a rocket as well. So I'm not beating myself up. But yeah, 67 points and so about a 200k green arrow so far to 900k overall.
Nice.
So where are you? I didn't actually ask.
A little bit behind you, mate. Down to basically just over 1 million, I think. 1,041,000. So I would expect to be in the top million after tonight's game. Even 6 points might do that, right? Even if they're blank, possibly. So, yeah, it should be a little bit better off. Probably, it depends how they do tonight. It's either going to be slight green or slight red, I think. For the record, because I know people are mainly fascinated by what Suji's doing with his life. At the moment, he's probably drinking a pina colada on the beach, I should imagine. He had a pretty decent weekend as well, actually. He had dropped, I think on Saturday, he dropped to about 2 million or so, but back up a little bit with Watkins and Bowen's returns yesterday. So he's on 65 points for the week. Trippier 10, Bowen 8, Luis Diaz 6, Watkins 11, Alvarez 9, captains Erling Haaland.
Where's he at overall, do you know?
He's about 1.5 million now. What's your plan for this week?
I don't know. And you said to me a couple of weeks ago when I did my 5-minute wildcard that I may run into problems. Looking at my bus team, I've got a few problems, mate.
You were told.
It's almost like the guy that does this for a living knows what he's on about.
I don't know about that, mate. You're above me at the moment.
I've got 2 free. Should I read out my team? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
There's a few problems there.
Yeah, so bus team is Areola in goal.
It's fine.
Back 3 will be Matty Cash, excuse me, Dan Burn, Pedro Porro.
It's fine.
Midfield 5 at the minute is Morgan Gibbs-White away to Liverpool. 2 of your boys and Richarlison and Sonny. Captain Salah at home to Forest and then Mbeumo away to Chelsea. And then up top, Ollie Watkins and Erling Haaland. And my bench is Matt Turner, Archer, Dalot at home to City and Castagna away to Brighton. So I've got 2 free tries. It's not great.
So you got 2 frees?
I've got 2 frees. And my initial plan when I did this
Gibbs-White and Richarlison out, I think.
Well, funny. So I was thinking of moving on Castagna to bring in like Gabriel or something, get an Arsenal defender or Tsimikas. So then I can bench like a Gibbs-White or something. Yeah. And Arsenal have got Sheffield United at home. So I was thinking something like that. Richarlison, I'm kind of going to play by ear depending on how he gets on tonight against Fulham, because I feel like it's one of those, if he does well, performs, do you think he'll keep his shirt? Is it not as simple as that?
Probably. I mean, I wouldn't be totally shocked if Johnson starts tonight.
I know, you said that's what
I do think Richarlison will play, but it wouldn't hugely shock me if Johnson was in the team.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then obviously I'll move it on. But it feels like one of those. I have to just kind of wait and see where the lay of the land is after tonight's game when Fulham hopefully beat you guys.
Any money in the bank?
How much money in the bank do I have? 0.3 mil, so not really.
Loads. Right, cool.
What about you?
Your problem is like those kind of midfield players that sort of Bowen, Martinelli. You ain't got Saka, have you?
No.
What are you going to do about that?
Leave it.
I think you've got the best captain for this week.
Yep, I think so as well.
I do think it's Mo Salah. But I think there are a number of very good alternatives to Tottenham players at Crystal Palace. Shouldn't be discounted based on Palace's performance on Saturday and whatever we feel about Tottenham after tonight. The Arsenal players against Sheffield United. Ollie Watkins against Luton.
He's on fire, isn't
he? It's going to be Watkins or Saka for me.
Okay. Where are you at right now?
And we'd not even spoke about the robot.
Yeah.
And what we should worry about Manchester United, should we? Or?
I know, it's weird, isn't it? I kind of look at Man United away and I think, oh, it's not great, but is that just me playing the occasion and the name more than the reality?
I've been here before with... never forget the words I said on that Friday. It's not like Mo Salah will get a hat-trick on Sunday at Old Trafford. Sure enough, he did.
Yeah.
He absolutely destroyed me in FPL that weekend, and he might well destroy me this weekend as well. So for me to get the Salah... The only way I could do it is moving Son to Salah, and then I could Doku to a 4.3 exact money.
Who would the 4.3 be? Just someone.
It doesn't matter.
You don't need
Chukwuemeka probably. Sure. Like there's three. It's Chukwuemeka, Baptiste, and Adingra. Not Adingra. Almahada at Crystal Palace. I don't say it wouldn't matter, mate. It'd probably be Chukwuemeka from that.
Sonny on the way out. Is that something you'd feel comfortable with?
Well, ask me after tonight, I suppose. So let's see if he's fit. He's obviously carrying this problem, which we're aware of. I think he kind of becomes expendable for many purely because I don't think you're captaining him probably till sort of game week 18, which is obviously City's blank. Liverpool and Arsenal play each other. Tottenham have got Everton at home. But even then, I think Watkins got Sheffield United at home that week.
Okay.
And he's obviously on great form himself as well. So it might be that I force that. That's probably going to need to be done quickly if I do, because Salah's obviously close to the rise. I'd rather not take a -8. Like there's little things I could do to then edge it in, like Johnston to Areola, for example, just to make sure I could do it. But then it's a -8 literally just for Mohamed Salah, basically.
And one of them involves losing Son. It's I'm not sure if it's going in the hit direction.
So bust this week. I'm obviously going up against a number of people. Be wildcarding this week. Yep. And I think there's kind of a fab five of teams that people are going into: Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, West Ham. I think Brighton might be the one that people are overlooking a little bit. Should be conscious of, but there's kind of those five. And yes, sure, there'll be bits of City, Tottenham, and a couple of others, particularly enablers. I think I'm bust right this week, Clates. As it stands, Johnston in goal, which isn't ideal, but then Cash, Saliba, Shimikas, Saka, Son, Maddison, Mitoma, Alvarez, Haaland, Watkins. The plan, if I go Doku to Bowen, is probably to bench Alvarez.
Yeah.
Probably. It could be Maddison or Son instead.
That is a tough benching decision. Yeah, just looking at your team now.
Well, I'm going to be benching Udogie as well. Gusto at home to Brentford as it stands. And no, I can't bench boost it before someone gets clever. I've done that.
Did you bench Merseyside in game 1? You never mentioned it.
Yeah, I did it for attention, didn't you know? Yes, I bench boosted in game week 1 and was quite happy with that as well. So, yeah, I'm leaving myself in a position where I'm potentially going to have ongoing benching headaches if I go down that route.
I think that's a better position to be in, to be fair.
Well, yeah, to have a kind of attacking 8 and just make the decision week on week in terms of who to leave out. Yeah, but you don't want to be leaving out someone like Alvarez. No. But when there are the odd occasional ones, like I would maybe, as it stands, I would maybe bench Saka at Newcastle in 11. That sort of thing. Yeah, and could be based on the fixtures. Could be a Tottenham player against Chelsea, maybe even.
It's one of those. The landscape changes so quickly. That's why I think it's just a nice headache to have, because I think every week's a bit of information.
But then other people will be sitting or listening to this or watching this thinking you've got to get Salah in, James.
Yeah, but at what cost?
Well, that's it. Is it worth it? And I've already, with the 2 hauls he's obviously had in the last 2 games, I've already have I missed it?
No, I don't think so. With Forest, Luton, and then Brentford at home next.
Probably not. No, there probably is more to come.
And then and then the other side of Man City, you got Fulham, Sheffield United, Palace. I do not think people have missed it.
And if I do think he's the best captaincy this week, which I probably do, although I think there are many good options this week for the armband, should I just be getting that done? And I'll give it a little bit of thought. If Sonny was to get injured tonight, then I'll probably do it, maybe.
Okay.
But I'm not in love with it. Just because I know then you can say, right, well, I've got Salah, cool. But then I'm going to cut myself off of the likes of Bowen and Martinelli and stuff, which I don't necessarily want to do. The thinking at the moment, why Bowen over Martinelli comes back onto next week a bit. And I think almost like this is the start of West Ham's good run. And with the difference with Martinelli and Bowen is I know Bowen's going to play. Like, could you play Trossard against Sheffield United?
Yeah,
on Saturday,
we could.
example?
And don't know the state of how Champions League will impact.
He probably doesn't. He probably does play Martinelli, particularly because you've got Carabao Cup next midweek. But I just think I know exactly what I'm getting.
I don't know.
Bowen.
To be fair, you got a good point. Like So Arsenal got Sevilla away on Tuesday. I imagine Martinelli will probably play that game, and depending on the intensity of that game, does he look at it at Sheffield United and think, okay, I'll start Trossard and kind of give Martinelli the 30 or something off the bench? So, yeah, it's definitely one to be mindful of.
And I'm also looking to cut Jeremy Doku from this, who was great on Saturday.
What's your reasoning behind that? Just like you said, to downgrade to find the funds.
City's fixtures coming up, and it's
is that a thing for them?
It's going to be
with his price.
He's in competition with players as well, though, isn't he? Could he, Manchester United this week, could he pick Grealish for a little bit more control and stuff? Yeah, he could do.
Absolutely.
He was really good, and particularly in that first half. Honestly, he really should have hauled Jeremy Doku, and yet, I'm sitting here probably selling him, I think is the plan. Right, before we talk games, Clates, I think we should have a word on Sir Bobby.
Yeah.
Sad news obviously come through on Saturday. I mean, it was while the 3:00 games were going on, I think, from my hazy memory of day. Arguably the greatest English footballer of all time. I think that could certainly be debated. Legend, literally, you can use that word and overuse it, but he absolutely is for both Manchester United and England, an absolute gentleman of the game. Very rare you get anyone would say anything bad about him. It's been so important to Manchester United over, basically, we're talking like a 70-year period. He was obviously one of the survivors of the Munich air crash, and then was part of the reformed Busby Babes team that obviously went on to win European Cup in 1968, scored twice in the final at Wembley against Benfica. Obviously a key member of the England World Cup winning team from 2 years earlier, including 2 goals against Portugal in the semi, which they're worldy goals. When he hit a thing, he struck through it. I probably haven't got any words to do justice to him.
No.
But a sad loss to football.
What's your earliest footballing memory of him?
His family, etc. Mine, he would have stopped playing long. I ain't that old, Clates.
No, but like, what? So even people of the generation when they weren't playing when I was born.
I always used to have stories from my dad about Charlton, Law and Best, and Manchester United and Tottenham games from like the 60s and stuff. Invariably, it used to just annihilate each other at home. I mean, there was one year Tottenham beat United 5-1, and then in the reverse game, United beat Tottenham 5-1.
Because he's someone I've only ever obviously watched highlights and stuff, but you can see it in the way, everything you've described, in the way he used to hit it and stuff, and the way people talk about him as well. It's one of those players I wish I was kind of around to actually watch myself. Yeah,
gentleman of the game, inspiration for many, and a very, very sad loss to football this weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Are you running this show?
I'm running it, mate. So, Merseyside Derby, 2-0 to Liverpool. Mo Salah, 2 goals, 1 was a penalty. I didn't get to fully watch this game. Obviously, I saw bits of the first half. Saw Ashley Young got the red card. What's your verdict on the game?
Liverpool didn't play well, in all honesty. I think that would most Reds fans would admit to that. Did they do enough to win the game? Probably, yeah. But I tell you what, Everton were looking comfortable. I mean, I was watching the game just before.
Are you talking before the red or even after?
Both.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
They were fine. I mean, where they actually had problems in the first half, Everton was they kept getting caught too high and getting played through. So like when Everton were having attacks, that looked like Liverpool's best moment. You know when Liverpool attack with speed, it's like red arrows coming at you. Yeah, it was like that. A few little bit overindulgence on a few occasions, but Ashley Young, great tackle on Luis Diaz, would have been 1-0 quite early in the game. But Liverpool didn't have huge number of chances, decent long range efforts from Salah, Trent, but Everton were fairly comfortable. You could make a case that Calvert-Lewin's header early in the game might have even been the best chance of the first half. And once the red card happens, they obviously went kind of low block. They took their 2 wide players, McNeil and Harrison, off at half time. and left Calvert-Lewin on his own, tried to get Doucouré to give him a bit of support and really funneled in deep. And Liverpool weren't creating great deal. You could feel pressure building and momentum because they were camped in territorially. But Pickford wasn't being overly extended ridiculously or anything, not at all.
Okay, so they weren't really creating all the chances against them, no?
I think the young red card, it is a red card.
Yep.
It's unfortunate because it doesn't feel like...
I think it was a bit silly of him to go and make that second challenge.
It's really clever from Diaz because he feels it coming and he puts his foot there to make sure it's the contact, and it is. They're just both standard yellow cards.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Just thought the second one, he didn't need to actually...
The punishment feels a bit harsh.
For the nature of the two individual offences.
But they are both yellow cards.
They're both bookings, yeah.
Konate was extremely lucky. He should have gone as well. I think the reason he didn't get sent off was because the ball was so far away gone that Beto wasn't getting it anyway. And I think that's probably why he didn't get sent off. But it's the second yellow. I think even Jurgen Klopp basically said in his interview afterwards, he was like, he was lucky.
Yeah.
The penalty's a penalty. We've seen a number of them over the weekend with handballs. I think the most contentious one was in the Chelsea-Arsenal game. It's really strange from Michael Keane because his arm's out.
Yeah.
And it's there for ages.
But I don't know what he was doing.
It was there for ages.
Yeah.
If, I don't know, say he'd gone to block tackle and his arm came out naturally at the time, you go, okay, right. But his arm was out and away from his body for such a long time. And he just didn't get it out of the way. And I think... it's a penalty, to be totally honest, which Salah obviously duly dispatched.
Yep.
No doubt when he gets played in for the second, he's going to score again. Nice weight of through ball and timing.
Yeah, that was a nice break.
Who obviously didn't start. He's not completely out the running for me this week.
I was just going to ask, for anyone considering him, obviously we've mentioned Liverpool's nice stretch coming up.
Well, the obvious easy other way for me to get Salah, isn't it? It's Haaland to Núñez.
Yeah.
Doku to Salah.
Well... would you consider it?
God knows who I'd bench then.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Well, it'd probably still be Alvarez.
Because where are you at with Darwin's minutes? Well, his expected minutes. X-mins, my favourite buzzword.
I don't know. But I do know that even in half-hour games, he could, for his value and stuff, he could, with the games they've got as well, he could still do bits for them. So, yeah, that's not out the running either. But I think I want Haaland for captaincy in game week 11 against Bournemouth. If I go down that route, I'm obviously captaining Salah at Luton if I go there, which obviously isn't terrible. And it might be better for my mental health at the live show on November the 5th, by the way. If you want to buy your tickets, links in the bio. Those are on Mo. I mean, those who've kind of been on sort of Mo and Haaland are probably doing best of it at the moment.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of players around Bowen's value that might start causing a bit of damage.
And like we said for my team earlier, I'm struggling to kind of find that. So that's something I need to fix in my team. So
look, I'm not going to tell you anything about Mo you don't know. On Shimikas, which is arguably the kind of interesting new one, Robertson, there's every chance he's not going to play again this year. Okay. So they don't know the exact extent yet, but I'd say mid-December probably earliest.
You've mentioned previously about Gomez potentially at left back, and I don't know if that was your opinion or something you've seen elsewhere.
No, I know a few were saying it, and I think it's something that could happen, but I'd spoke to you last week about what they did with Trent against Villa and distribution. They didn't do it that way. They built more to the box, so Trent did go more into midfield with McAllister, and obviously the way the game happened. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, in the second half, they basically just played a back two, Liverpool, once they took Shimikas off. Do
you think that was more just to get another attacker on, though? As opposed, like I said, I didn't watch the game, but Shimikas not playing badly.
Able to just leave Van Dijk and Matip against Beto, essentially, once he'd come on for Calvert-Lewin. I think they were even more comfortable doing it once Calvert-Lewin went off as well, which is understandable why he went off. I think Shimikas will play the majority of the games. Klopp said on Friday, he said, look, Shimikas isn't going to play every game.
Oh.
And no, but I read that as it was enough for me to tell me he's going to play.
Okay. Why?
So... why did I read it that way? Well, I think he's talking about Europa League and stuff right? He's saying that Shimikas isn't going to play Thursday, Sunday every week. So there's every chance to come up with a different solution, say for the Europa League. They've obviously got their own Carabao Cup game next midweek. But I would think in the majority of cases, Shimikas will play these Premier League games. It would just be too much of a kick in the teeth for him not to, I think. Yeah. He sits there patiently as Robertson's understudy. Yeah. I don't think Robertson's had a great 2023, to be totally honest. I think Shimikas comes in, and I think he's fine. And I think I also reflected on what I'd said about Liverpool is they've shown me enough variety that they can have someone like that in there who can still push forward from left back, and obviously taking a lot of the corners as well.
Yeah.
So,
anything to add on Everton?
I think they can be. I'm not proud of losing the Merseyside Derby, but I don't think Evertonians could be too unhappy with the effort that their players put into the game. To be honest, I'd probably be more angry with Young than angry with the officiating's perspective on it, because you just got to let him go.
Yeah.
You have to win it if you're going to make that sort of tackle, and he's experienced enough, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he is one of them, Ashley Young, because he is so aggressive. You do feel with him sometimes like he's going to get booked in games like this, and then you're in a position in a game like that, aren't you?
Yeah. It makes everyone so vulnerable. Then
it's an error. Presumably, Patterson will come in for the fixture they have this weekend, which is at West Ham.
Yeah, tough fixture.
And obviously, Emerson's suspended for West Ham, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem from that particular side, because Paquetá doesn't just like sort of hold that side. Seamus Coleman's nearly fit as well. Their fixtures, as I discuss every week, are not particularly great. Decore, I think, can still be considered as an enabler, and for those who maybe are on Calvert-Lewin up front as third forward, like, it's fine. Otherwise, you're not going to invest. I think for those who have been on Pickford and may have still landed on Pickford now, moving that now to Areola. Yeah. It's obviously inevitable 1-0 win for Everton as soon as you do that at the weekend. But yeah, I would probably get that sort of move done now. Now that West Ham's run really starts now, despite them having their own difficulties yesterday.
Lovely stuff. Moving it on was Bournemouth 1, Wolves 2. Away win for the Midlands team.
Gary O'Neill, it's not about me. Felt like it, mate. I'm kind of pleased for him because I don't mind Gary O'Neill. Oh, God, Bournemouth shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, especially when was the red card? It was around the hour mark.
It was a 1-1, yeah.
And then to concede that goal towards the end.
I mean, we're saying Ashley Young should know better. It's just brainless from Lewis Cook, to be honest.
Yeah.
He swipes Hwang really badly.
Yeah.
Which is a yellow card in itself. And he's one of them, I think as a player, you know if someone's kind of doing you.
Yeah.
So Hwang reacts. Added
intent there, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, oh, that's a bit kind of excessive. And then he just loses his mind, doesn't he?
Yeah. Stupid.
It's not even a good headbutt.
Yeah, at least do it properly, isn't it?
It's not even going to do damage.
If you're going to get sent off, make it worth it.
Honest, I know people say, Hwang went down really. He's got to do it.
But
He's got to do it.
It's the way it is, unfortunately.
Make it look like it's really bad and make sure that the opponent gets sent off. Unfortunately, hate the laws, if you will, rather than hate the player for kind of feigning. Maybe it did hurt, but it didn't look like it particularly hurt. He obviously got himself another attack in return, as did Pedro Neto. It was a really nice equaliser from Matthias Cunha for Wolves' first goal.
Nice
it was obviously a nice finish for Solanke for Bournemouth's first as well. It changed a little bit Bournemouth in the sense they did what Neil Grove had been saying he thought would happen once Adams got fit, which was Bill in play a little bit further forward. But obviously Alex Scott came into the team and played. That's a big boost to them because obviously Adams is still going to be out for a long period. They moved Tavernier to the left and David Brooks played on the right. Left wing seems to change for them like every game. Neil's coming on COTC this week with Jack Toner to preview Bournemouth Burnley, which it just already feels like massive because they're the two teams that we thought in pre-season might surprise. And that's possibly still the case, but worse than we could imagine. And they both have had really difficult fixtures, but I think the concern's really building now for Bournemouth. And
Bournemouth haven't won yet.
No.
And Burnley only have one win, I think.
Look, let's remember what we kept saying. Like, let's judge them when the good fixtures come. Well, now they've just lost 3-0 at Everton and they've lost at home to Wolves. And if they lose Burnley, then they go to Man City the week after.
When you've had a run like this, it then puts a different pressure on that good run. Where it's concerning.
Yeah, question marks will be getting asked now about the manager, I think, a little bit, unfortunately. And I think he's really unlucky that he's walked in there with that really tough set of fixtures. But we knew that the pressure was going to swing to now and they'd have to get results. And it's not good.
No.
It's not good. They were young. They're an inexperienced team. I feel like I didn't see a lot of the game on Saturday, but I feel like when I watched them early in the season, including against my team in Gameweek 3, like they had a real energy about them off the ball. And it feels like
that's not there, no?
It feels like it's gone a little bit. Going down to 10 men's obviously not going to help at the weekend. But yeah, I'm wondering now if a few within the playing group might be questioning the methods because it's not getting results and it's a young squad.
What's your thoughts on
And the old manager coming back and beating is just slap in the face.
Say that again, sorry.
O'Neill coming back.
Oh,
and
yeah.
being the one that's got the victory as well is an additional slap, isn't it?
What is your thoughts on the goal that lost them the game? Who would you kind of say is at fault there? Because I saw people going and like straight to the keeper. I didn't really see anyone going to Billing. I think Billing should have been really, a bit more aware of what was going on, personally.
Yeah, you could make a case to say that because of a man short, possibly Neto shouldn't make that pass in the first place. But I don't know. He's played it into Billing and he's head up, and you've got to deal with your situation from there. Now it's possible that he's got his head up and there's nothing on because they're a man short. But essentially it's him that's been dispossessed, and then it's a really ugly goal, which is finished nicely by Kalidžić, who's obviously now got 2 late winning goals for Wolves in away games this season. Obviously scored the winner at Everton. I think it was game week 4 from memory. And they're in a decent position now, Wolves.
Yeah. Any love for... They've got a few little enablers. Neto, Cunha, any of them?
Hwang as well.
And Hwang, of course, top scorer.
I feel like it's probably not there for me. Those who have already gone on, it feels pretty reasonable. As said a few times, their home games are tough, but the away games are decent. It's Newcastle this week. He doesn't feel like...
No, don't steam in that.
time to buy. But if it enables you something, fine. But I don't know, maybe kind of the same price, looking maybe more Anthony Gordon at this stage. Yeah, maybe just from a timing perspective. But Neto, has assist every game since game week 2, I think.
He's such a beautiful player. Literally love watching him play.
And Hwang's ticking over really good. I think the way that Cunha plays, because he wants to drop off deeper, is allowing both of them to be really high. They stayed with this formation, which is essentially a back 5, but in a game like this, it looked more like a back 3. Which is getting the best out of those 2 attacking fantasy assets. Yep. We weren't sure if it would stick, if it was just City and Villa, that worked. But they've done the same again. You can imagine they'll do the same against Newcastle at the weekend as well.
The Wolves Slack channel is popping, moving it on. Yeah. We've got Brentford 3, Burnley 0 next, and Bruno with another double-digit haul.
Got 3 great goals.
Yeah,
Brentford.
2 of them were absolute bangers,
even
weren't
the
they?
first goal.
It was a nice move, yeah.
The weight of the passes from Morpay and Mbumo.
Godos is that how you pronounce his name? Godos?
Saman Godos.
Oh my God, what a rocket.
I mean, Mbumo's was perfect. He had that shape on it where it just hits the net at that kind of perfect point that it just wraps around the goal. Beautiful goal.
But yeah, big win for Brentford.
And I think, those who'd held on to Mbumo were doing it very much for this week. Yes, well done. It was the right call. Sometimes you just got to remove yourself, I think, from what's happened recently and go, it's one of the weakest defences in the league at home next. Literally. I'm going to hold on to the player. And I think we have to give Brentford a lot of credit because they've obviously had a number of players obviously out injured and missing. Aaron Hickey was missing from this one, so they played Vitaly Janelt at left back. Onyeka came into the team. So they've been short. Flecken was back. The best case of appendicitis ever because he returned very, very quickly. Fair game, please, for him. And those who were still on have obviously got their clean sheet. There'd have been loads would have seen him not play at Man United and sold
just moved them on.
Because he did look at that point like he'd be out for quite a while. He's obviously come back. Nice little clean sheet there. Was he in a bonus as well, Flecken?
Was he?
No.
Oh.
No, he wasn't. I'm lying there. 1 save. No, it's just standard 6-pointer. So good result. We've been quite critical and worried for Brentford, I think. And this was a good win with some cracking goals that will have lifted everyone around the football club. First home win of the season. I think the fixtures are difficult for them.
Yeah. What would you do with
now? You're in the. I'd sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd sell whatever I had from despite the result of the week. There's too many other good options with good fixtures. You know, if you're sitting there with Mbumo, you're Mitoma similar price, for example. Yeah, I'd be thinking of moving it. If you've got like Flecken, you've got Areola at cheapers, obviously available. Vissa, I think you'd be looking to move on despite the goal at the weekend. Neil Morpay, you're not going to go and buy. Hello, Tom Med. Hope you're well this morning, mate. Put the prescription away, mate. I'd be selling, despite the really good result of the weekend. For Burnley, rough, because they're in a similar boat. Not quite to the extent that Bournemouth, in terms of it's been less clear about the swing of fixtures, but it's coming for them now. Their run of fixtures is really good and sustained for a long period. That actually, of the two teams, would be more interested in investing in them at something like Lyle Foster as an 8th attacker, for example. But defensively, they look woeful at the moment. Really, really bad. Dara O'Shea played at the weekend. We thought it was very much out of favour. But Del Crad been covering for Bayer, and he's not looked particularly good. They kind of played with an extra attacker at the weekend. Amdouni played quite deep, but it left Josh Brownhill out of the team. So I think company's trying to work something that's going to work at the moment, and it's just not. Have you seen the Kolyosho miss?
I don't think I have, actually.
Like XG
no.
was about 0.9, I think.
Oh, wow.
It was Burnley's whole XG of the game, basically.
I would have seen it because I watched the highlights this morning, but I don't know why it's just not there in my head right now.
Ball across his open goal, and he
why can't I remember that?
his body and fluffs it.
Oh.
No. I worry for them because they've got a lot of young, inexperienced attacking players, particularly. Yeah. But I do still feel there's something there for them. I think that's heavily influenced by what I saw at the start of the game when I went up there.
Yeah,
in game week 4.
That was a long time ago now.
I know. But I do think there's something there where these easier fixtures
can breed that kind of style of play a bit more.
Hopefully for them, yeah.
Yeah. Lovely stuff. Moving it on, Man City 2, Brighton 1. This, if I could have watched any one of the 3 o'clock games without hindsight, this is what it would have been. How was it while you were bladdered?
I tweeted at half-time, it's probably the most disappointing I've been with Brighton, I think. In a game I've seen them under De Zerbi.
Okay.
They're worth saying they got much better in the second half, and I don't know if that was more from Manchester City and just wanting to control the game from there. But yeah, City could have been comfortably more up at half-time. Already spoken about Doku and how good he was. They looked, Clayton, Brighton, like if it was someone else, I'd have just gone, you're brave here, but you look naive.
Okay. So kind of like Leeds under Bielsa vibes.
It looked a bit boys v men in that first half. And City were definitely the men. And they pulled Brighton all over the place with the movement. Obviously, John Stones came back in.
Yep. There was a change in goal as well.
Well remember, just in case I forget, Guardiola said on Edison that it was purely over travel.
Okay.
So we would expect him to come back into the team for the Champions League game and the Manchester Derby on Sunday before anybody gets too excited with Ortega like they got excited with Strakosha last week.
Were people actually getting excited by Ortega?
I don't think so.
I was going to say.
Maybe. It's just 3.9. I think it's 3.9, isn't it? It's 3.9 playing goalkeeper for the best team in the league. I mean, if he was going to play every week, we should probably be interested in that. Although, like Edison, he doesn't actually save much, I don't think. John Stones playing was obviously really important. Rodri coming back, obviously absolutely critical. Stones obviously starting from base centre-back position, going into wild positions. Clayton,
yeah, it's exactly what you were saying pre-season. Then,
right wing, a bit like the Champions League final and stuff. And
Alvarez
and Haaland were dropping really short. Particularly Alvarez was quite often going into sort of double pivot positions and stuff, just because Brighton obviously going to go man to man so much. City were pulling about positionally all over the place. Suddenly it'd be like Bernardo Silva's up front with Haaland. They were lovely rotational with position and stuff, but the one constant was Doku holding the left side. Yeah. Just get it to him and at Milner.
1v1, he's a freak, isn't he?
He is a talent. He is a really good player. And yet, like I said, I'm looking to sell him in FPL, and he absolutely could have hauled in that game. Was
this a game where we had two of the best 1v1 dribblers in the league on either flank, Doku and Mitoma?
Mitoma should have scored before Ansu Fati scored for Brighton. He had a one-on-one chance. Ortega saved it. I chose to ignore that.
So I'm looking at the stats here, and the XG.
On the stats, the game will look fine, yeah. Brighton did get better the longer it went on. And City panicked a little bit at 2-1.
Where I was going to go with it, did City not really create that many good openings?
No, I mean, if you look at the XG from the game and stuff, it's low for both teams.
Sure.
So I mean, like as I said, Doku's coming. He's had two brilliant kind of efforts coming inside, and he's wrapped them both like just wide of the post and stuff. But it wasn't an overly big game for scoring opportunities. I mean, Haaland is a rare goal from outside the box.
Good finish.
You say that, it's so funny. When it happened, the first couple of touches he takes, he's so awkward. It really is. He takes a couple of touches and you think, get out your feet, mate. And then obviously he does, and the finish is a joke. Like, just start laughing at how ferocious the shot is.
Almost as good as Alvarez's finish, wasn't it?
Almost as good as Alvarez's finish, which was very, very fortuitous. But he played really well, and he is playing really well, and he's began to show real variety in terms of how he can play. Like I say, had dropping so short, for example. Yeah, Stones and Rodri being back absolutely critical for City. I don't know what that means for Ruben Diaz. going forward. Obviously, Akanji's going to be suspended for the Manchester Derby.
Yeah. That was another
so
silly...
you would think probably Diaz... I think Akanji was a little unlucky with the second one. Yeah, I think so. I get why the referee gave it, but it wasn't a huge amount in it. You would think probably Diaz and Stones then against Manchester United, but Nathan Ake as well can bring Gvardiol into that position.
Yeah, the versatility they've got is a joke.
They've got the whole squad fit now, bar Kevin De Bruyne, and that should be on notice a little bit. Yeah. So, but I don't see me captain Haaland Saturday, even without Salah. I just think in Saka and Watkins respectively, I have two great options that I should gamble on one of them.
Hat-trick incoming for Haaland.
For Brighton. Bad injury for Solly March.
What was the diagnosis? I've not actually seen.
Could be season over, mate.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was one of them. He's got caught on the turf late on, stretchered off. It was down for a really long time, really late in the game. It's touch wood, that's not the case. He's another one I think has been on the fringes of a potential England call-up. And I'd like to see him given a go because he's very versatile in terms of left-right midfield and obviously can cover left-back. Yeah. And we're not blessed with left-back options for England. What that opens up is a very, very interesting enabler option, I think, in Simon Adingra, who's a player I keep talking about a lot. Yeah. That's probably the beneficiary longer term of a serious March injury.
What price is he?
I think it's 5, I think, Clayton. That's really interesting as an 8th attacker. The only problem you're going to have with him, and I think this will be the case for most Brighton players in any case, is knowing who's going to play, because of the Thursday night football and stuff as well. And we know they haven't started brilliantly in it. Got a couple of games against Ajax. Ajax is 17th in the Eredivisie.
Yeah, my mate texted me. What the hell is going on there?
Yeah, they haven't won since August. Madness. And Brighton will probably beat them, I should imagine, on Thursday. But you're going to have to wait till after Thursdays every week before you've got an understanding of what the next Brighton team is likely to be. But I think, certainly for wildcarders, he would be right on radar, Adingra. I think of those 5 teams I said, I think Brighton are the ones that people might be forgetting at the moment. And there's a few reasons for that. Difficult fixtures recently. So look, they've just played Villa, Liverpool and City and got 1 point. So they're not kind of...
They've not won since Bournemouth.
Yeah, but those are the 3 games they've had since, right? Yeah. Is there another one I'm missing?
No.
I mean, Villa away. Villa have won, 11 league games in a row? Yeah, City away. City have won 13 home league games in a row. And Liverpool, it was a draw. So I think because of that, they're out of mind a little bit. I'm certainly pleased that Mitoma's sitting there. I think he'll be a solution for many people. And with him, I always feel like he'll start 4 out of 5 in the league. You'll get the majority of it, and the fixtures are good. Yeah. Good. Some of these teams that we're investing in at the moment, I think like Villa have got like a great 5-game run. Brighton's is longer. Certainly we should have eyes on whatever's potentially happening with Purvis Estupiñán as well, because he should be back soon. And that could be one where I think, say, Tottenham's fixtures are getting a bit tougher and people might want to flip, say, Udogie to Estupiñán, for example. Dunk will play all the games. It's a bit of a boring call, and that doesn't feel great because Brighton will give every team an opportunity, even with these good fixtures. Goalkeepers have obviously got to be avoided. I don't know how many more times James Milner will play right back. Certainly not against players like Doku. I think De Zerbi was regretting that and obviously changed it at half-time. So I think the forwards are probably avoidable. I think Mitoma and Adingra should be serious considerations. Adingra almost kind of feels perfect for me for kind of 8th attacker. I know like a lot will be looking at Palmer at the moment, for example. It's absolutely fine. And by the way, when Brighton do hit their bad run, that's when Chelsea's gets good again. Okay. So you could go like Adingra now.
Do the chain move.
And go back into Cole Palmer later on, for example. So yeah, I'd be strongly considering Mitoma. I would definitely want, because that just feels like the outstanding one. Yeah. That I don't know the situation with the forwards between Ferguson, João Pedro, Welbeck. He can also play the likes of Lallana there, and obviously Ansu Fati as well. There's too many cooks there. Whereas in the wide areas are a bit short now, and that's why Mitoma and Adingra I think stand up as really good options. For City, it's only Haaland and Alvarez really for consideration. I think at the moment.
None of the defence, no.
No, I mean, interested in John Stones moving forward, but I don't think the fixtures are good enough to justify when to go there at the moment.
Cool. Moving on.
I think for those who are on Foden, it's probably expendable at the moment. And it's same for me with Doku, despite how he played at the weekend.
Yeah. Fair play. Newcastle 4, Palace 0 next. They're just so good, Newcastle, aren't they? their goals, chances, everything. Do you know what? Last year, I feel like there was a narrative that crept in that like Newcastle were a little bit boring and stuff, and I could never get on board with it. And I know I'm saying this after they've just beat Palace 4-0, but even back then, I really enjoy watching them play football. I feel like some of their offensive rotations, especially in the right hand side, I think is really good to watch. I really enjoy watching them. And another clean sheet for the Droidy boys.
We shouldn't be surprised really with any team keeping a clean sheet against Palace at the moment, because you're just light offensively, unfortunately. Matthias Francher got some minutes, whether he'll start against Tottenham to be confirmed. I know a lot of Eagles fans would like Raksaki to probably get a start on Friday night. I wouldn't be hugely shocked if he did get one. I've not heard any update on Michael Elise. Was sort of targeting that game on Friday to be back. Presumably he wouldn't start. I would guess it'd be a substitute probably at best. Few individual errors not helped in this particular game, like Mark Gay on the third goal. I realised the game's probably already got away from at that stage. It's an unusual one from him because he's a good centre-back.
You don't think he just slipped?
I didn't like his reaction to it as well, though. When he he
just sat there watching it, waiting.
I know you're not going to get up and get there anyway, but get up.
Yeah.
It's an attitude thing, Mark Gay. I don't think there's an attitude problem.
No, I mean that specific incident.
You've given up in that moment. Yeah, it's not a good look. And this beating obviously came despite the fact they had Lerma and Decore back as well, which had obviously been a miss for them. Still got done over. But as ever with these games, and I spoke about it last week, we'd said if Newcastle didn't score early, we saw it as one that maybe could end up with a 0-0. They obviously get the goal early. And then it's wind assisted from Jacob Murphy. So much talk about whether Mudryk meant it or not. I'm not sure. I think Murphy's just literally just helping it. I don't think he actually knows what he's doing.
I really like Jacob Murphy. He just looks like such a happy bloke.
He played really well. All the Newcastle patrons were raving about how he played on Saturday, in fairness. And it's a beautiful assist for Callum Wilson's goal. That's a brilliant
pinpoint
goal.
Pass.
And I think he's stepped up as kind of a unheralded, unsung hero. Miguel Almiron will take his place back. I don't think there's too much doubt about that, and I think that's probably another one we can link back to South American player travelling back. It seems potluck whether they play or not. Diaz played, Alvarez played, Almiron didn't. It's something we've got to be conscious about again for game week 13. But yeah, good from Newcastle. Good from Newcastle. Trips. You've got?
No, I don't.
Have you not?
I've just got Dan. No, I've just got Dan Burn. Couldn't quite squeeze him in because I went for the trio of Son, Salah, and Haaland.
If you were wildcarding, do you think you'd go with him?
Yeah, like that. I mean,
I don't think I would.
Ooh, why?
Because I just think at the moment, I think a lot of people's debate and paths they've taken have been things like Watkins versus Trippier for many people. And I know which one I'd want right now.
Yeah, Watkins.
So I would want the attacking players at the moment. And now Newcastle's fixtures are getting a bit more difficult. There's a case to say just having something in reserve like a Burn, or obviously Botman's going to be out for a couple more weeks, is fine.
That's kind of where I landed with it when I did mine. It's just obviously it's annoying that, well, you know what you're kind of going against with Trippier. You know he'll get the odd assist here and there.
With Trips, you always play him.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. Way too good offensively to even worry about any fixture, basically. You could, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, you make debates about. But like when he's got United at home, Chelsea at home, so if you play him, it's not bad enough to consider anything different.
Well, that's the thing. For those on wildcard 10.
But there are so many good, cheaper options. This isn't being critical of Trippier in any way. I'm just saying, if you're looking at it now, let's say Estupiñán's back on Thursday, hypothetically, right?
Yeah.
And then he's back available for Brighton. That's like perfect time. You could have something like Estupiñán, Cash, Porro, Gabriel. We haven't spoke about Newcastle yet.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. Like, they've got a mixed bag of fixtures coming up. Would you still go there defensively?
If I had Trippier, I certainly wouldn't be selling.
No, but for those on wildcard, game week 10?
I don't think it'd be in it for me.
Yeah, I can understand why, to be fair.
Having just looked at so many good attacking players I'd want at the moment. And I think at this minute in time, I'd probably want to be forcing Salah and Haaland in. And Watkins would be a non-negotiable for me, and I think probably Saka as well.
Yeah.
And suddenly we've spent quite a bit of money. Now I want Mitoma, I want Bowen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about Tottenham yet. I don't know if Trippier's like working in there. That would be my take.
You spoke about Anthony.
But I think it'll be in the majority of wildcard teams.
Yeah. Someone else you mentioned earlier, Anthony Gordon. He's doing all right?
Yeah, and
Could have, should have scored as well.
Well,
I
he
like
did
that.
score, but
another.
He should have scored with the one where he hit the bar. Obviously, yeah. I'd mentioned him when we was talking about sort of Neto Huang earlier. I think that's quite an interesting one, but I do think you might end up benching it quite a lot, subject to what else you go for in your team. If you end up with say what I've just said, say Salah, Bowen, Saka, Mitoma, plus Gordon, and you've got like Watkins, Haaland, Alvarez. If you can make that work, and that's probably no Trippier doing that, then he ain't playing often, is he? If you end up with that sort of selection. So, but I think, very reasonable one. And he'll obviously enable teams better to have the likes of Salah and Haaland. So, I think he'll play the majority of the games.
Nice. And big week for Newcastle with Dortmund. Are they at home?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think so. For Palace, they've got a great run after this Tottenham game. Really good run. So, if you're on like your Johnsons or Gays, I think that's probably hold. Unless, say, in my case, I deem like that Salah move I spoke about near the start where Johnson to Areola makes that work, then maybe, but I'm not keen on doing it. I think I'm fine just to keep Johnston through, I think.
Cool. Another game with 4 goals, Nottingham Forest and Luton with the old Desmond Tutu.
Yeah, no one was swimming.
Yeah.
I love it. All the experts on Twitter on Friday was like looking at River Trent rising water levels and stuff like that. Brilliant investigative work.
I didn't actually look at any of the tweets or anything. I just went with what you obviously texted me.
I text Clayton said it's off.
Yeah, because I've been loving Gibbs White. I've got Turner. I was like, what do you mean it's off? So I had no idea what was going on. Was it ever actually in danger?
Can I just say, most people were fretting about it because of Matt Turner. You should have all known as soon as that started happening that there was no clean sheet. The problem is, and I'd had a question on my stream on Friday, and I didn't even think about it. Like I spoke about the Etihad, and when it's windy, because of the way the stairwells are built, it's quite dangerous and stuff. And that's always one, if there's really high winds, can be a potential problem. And I didn't even twig or think at all about Forest, and the River Trent is literally behind the home end.
Yeah.
And if it had risen and it broke bad, there's no game. It's literally as simple as that. So Forest had maintained during the course of the Friday, they were very confident the game would go ahead, and I think it stopped raining from roughly about sort of 9 o'clock in the morning. I think it was fine. I don't think it was, from there on, I don't think it was any real concern.
They'll be shooting themselves, Forest. 2-0 up with
massively.
Was it 7 minutes? Yes, I've got it here. 7 minutes to go. Chris Wood with a nice little brace. They had other chances from what I've seen in the highlights.
I mean, he should have got a hat-trick, really, Chris Wood. The goal disallowed right at the end.
Should have got an assist.
Your boy Gibbs White.
Doesn't even know I exist, but he's my boy.
No, he definitely doesn't. There's a nice yellow card he got as well. Have you seen the tackle for that?
No, I've not actually.
Proper swipe. There's a terrible tackle as well. Definite deserved booking. I think that led to Luton's first goal as well.
Do you know, I was in the concourse at Stamford Bridge, walking to Block 1, and I was like, 2-0 Forest, nice. Matt Turner, clean sheet. Went in and then came out later, checked, what the hell?
I told you, floods, no clean sheet. The goals that Forest concede are so ugly. They're so ugly. And the
what was he doing?
I think... Listen, I've seen enough daft Sergio over the years, right? It's like the free kick happens.
The ball's on the floor and he's trying to head it.
The free kick happens. Andros Townsend's obviously on making his debut for Luton, another former Tottenham player, and the delivery is not good. He kind of hits it too low, and as it gets taken, Orius slips, and he tries to get back up. He tries to head it like he's a seal jumping or something. He just gets it badly wrong. Ogbene, they're like, oh my God, what a finish. He slices it, which completely wrong foots Turner, and it flies into the top corner. And the second goal...
it's a bad marking.
Was it Worrell who'd come on?
I think so, yeah.
And Ola Aina ends up in a weird deep position where he's trying to get himself in the away end with the Luton fans, and then just literally Adebayo brings it down. And again, it was like the gay one. I'm not sure he could have got there.
Yeah,
but just literally stands there and looks at him and watches him score. And just, okay, that's okay. Prime, it's not 4-0, mate. You're winning 2-1.
Prime Barclays.
So, they were
good stuff for the Luton fans, though.
They were bad goals. On Wood, he's going to get a prolonged run by the looks of it, because I think Divock Origi is injured now as well. I don't know how close Taiwo Awoniyi is or isn't. I don't think people would be going into Chris Wood because the fixtures are tough, right? It's Liverpool, Villa next. So you'd only be getting him in, I think, and benching him anyway.
And then it's West Ham away as well.
He is cheap enough, but I think Awoniyi is probably not too far away. Turner is probably not going to be starting for most people in most forthcoming games. For example, despite the fact I'd be sitting there with 3 Tottenham at the moment, 2 offensive and no Liverpool offensive, I'd still play Johnston rather than Turner this week.
Yeah.
What's my expectation of Turner at Liverpool?
It's
none, isn't it?
A walloping.
Whereas it just feels way more likely that... I like the all-in strategy, but just feels way more likely that Palace could keep a clean sheet than Forest this weekend. So for Turner, it's probably back to the bench, which will please most people, except those who've also got Mr. Andre Onana. What's his name?
Onana.
Because you've obviously got Onana playing City and Turner playing Liverpool. Who do you pick?
I think I'd go Onana.
Listen, it's sell Onana.
No, you just move it on.
Yeah, just sell him. Just get Areola, get it done. Just get it done, yeah. Really disappointing for Forest. They're doing all right, actually, but yeah, they've got to be winning that from the position they got themselves in.
Yeah. Not great from them. On to another Desmond Tutu at Stamford Bridge. I was there. I was very angry.
Lead, because I was getting drunk by this point.
I think that is one of the top 3 worst performances I've seen from Arsenal in the last 18 months, since we kind of, in air quotes, became good. It was shocking. It was like the tech. I think with Arsenal, the one consistent thing I know I'm going to get when I watch our football team is just technical security. And it's like the tone of the game from the first few minutes. I remember like Zinchenko misplaced a pass, Rice did, and it just felt like nothing was sticking. I'd love to see these kind of stats on consecutive sequence of passes.
Was it too wet?
Pardon?
Was it too wet?
I don't think so. Well, were you taking a piss there?
Did you get proper soaked, by the way?
No, I was in the upper. So
no, I mean like before or after the game, because it was lashing it.
Do you know
wasn't
what? I
it?
somehow missed it. I don't know how.
Lucky.
I went straight into the pub and then walked round, and it was kind of dry around then. It was my first time actually doing Stamford Bridge as an away fan, and yeah, it was quite a nice view. I was in the upper tier in the shed end, but yeah, the actual game, I thought we were shocking, and like I think Chelsea set up defensively well, and they kind of limited the spaces we could try and play in centrally. I thought they did that well, and they set up for transitions really well. But in terms of them building from, like, when the ball went back to their keeper and defence, I just felt like they were kind of lumping it straight back to us, and then it was more when we had the ball in the first phase, I feel like we weren't doing anything to progress it with any purpose. And people like Odegaard, I thought he was bad, really bad.
Why?
I don't know, just everything just felt technically off. I don't think he was in the right areas or the zones enough to receive.
There was a lot of criticism of him on Saturday.
Oh, did you not agree with it? Or?
No, yeah, to be honest, I didn't think he played well at all. I'm just surprised how forceful some of the things that were said about him was.
In what sense?
Just there was a lot of get him off the pitch, and
well, I kind of wanted him to be
trust him
subbed.
to be your most creative hub, if you will.
Yeah, I just think in days like that where we've got a squad, as we've shown again with kind of some of the subs that impacted the game, I think if things aren't working, just change it. And if anything, I thought Arteta made the subs too late. But obviously, Chelsea went 1-0 up, penalty.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with it. I get it. But
so this is where I
actually think the header's going wide as well. Supposedly part of the decision was that the header was on target. I think it's going wide.
I think it's a pen. And you know what I'm like. I'd find any.
I think if you compare, there was 3 this weekend. So there was the Michael Keane with his arm out.
Yeah, that was blatant.
McTominay completely leans into it. It's definitely a penalty as well. This one, he's trying to head the ball.
He is, but
that's the difference.
It's one of those. I can see why it's given.
Yeah,
I think
it's going to be because his arm does end up so far away from his body.
I always try to think of it like this: if it was the other way round, would I have wanted a pen?
Oh, of course you would. Yeah,
so that's why I'm kind of like.
Yeah, that's why I say I'm uncomfortable with it, because I think like it's probably the right decision. It just feels too harsh for what it is.
Yeah.
It just feels too harsh when 100% that's not intentional.
Yeah.
No.
Do you think
there's no way he's meant to do it? He's panicked because Mudrik's got across the front of him, so he kind of dives
it's the nature of the way you jump. Yeah.
His body's all over the place, and then he ends up really out. Sure, it stops the ball and it hits him kind of flush.
I know it's jumping around a bit, but just for the sake of similar topic, do you think there was a pen shout on Jesus at the end?
Yeah, I absolutely think that could have been given, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted your opinion on that. But
well, Sanchez ends up like sticking his arse in his face, basically.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I was very surprised that didn't go to VAR, but that's not the reason.
They did check it, I think, mate.
Oh, did they?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm surprised it wasn't. But like, that's not to take anything away from how poor Arsenal were. And yeah, like I said, Chelsea defensively set up well. But
why do you think we were poor?
Like I said, the technical security on the ball. I feel like it was just very. I think too many key technical players had an off start to the game, and that set the tone. So the likes of Zinchenko, Odegaard. I think this game with Jorginho in midfield, I don't think suited him. I think he's fine when we're going to have lots of touches high up with the... Yeah,
a lot of the ball, right?
Sorry, that was the wrong way of saying it. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it turned into a transition game, and that's where I don't think it suits him. Because, yeah, I think it just doesn't give us that level of control that we need in that sort of environment. And what I was saying about the key people like Zinchenko, Odegaard, and then I think Declan Rice in the first half was a bit too far out because of where he was being told to position, and it's like we just needed him central to kind of try and command the game, and all of those little dominoes just weren't falling into place, and it felt like a momentum thing that we just couldn't. I felt like we weren't progressing the ball fast enough out from the back. Everyone had an off start to the game, and it just felt hard to recover from that.
And yet you've ended up with a decent result here, really.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Obviously, the outcome, I'm happy that we obviously came back and we didn't lose the game. And it's another one where it's a point away at Chelsea, regardless of context, is never bad. I think I'm concerned about something we've spoken about before in terms of the underlying metrics I've seen around Arsenal's attack this season. On the eye, I've just not felt it's been as fluid. This is something I've been consistently saying for a while, and I know we touched on a couple of pods this week about, our fixtures are turning, the front three are now back together. It's one of the... this has happened a few times after international breaks, though, where we don't really click, per se, but...
Would you want a 12:30 kickoff?
No, just... it's something that's an issue, and I'm concerned about the attack. I am. I've said it a couple of times now, but not really sure what needs to be done.
Okay, I'd say what the game reminded me a little bit. It reminded me of when you lost at City, the 4-1.
The away game, yeah.
Yeah. In the sense you'd mentioned about Chelsea being quite direct.
Mm-hmm.
City had the benefit of having a Haaland in that fixture, whereas Chelsea obviously don't have that profile of player. But I think there is a trend of good teams trying to play this way against you with essentially without a 9.
Yeah.
And in that game, Haaland and De Bruyne both played more like 10s. And that was where City found the extra space. They didn't have Stones coming out from centre-back, or he stayed. He stayed at centre-back. City played 4-4-2 all bloody game.
Yeah.
And City found their extra men through Haaland and De Bruyne dropping short off the centre-backs. And that's obviously what Chelsea did here with Cole Palmer and Gallagher. And it's something you're struggling with.
Yeah.
Which I haven't quite worked out why yet, because obviously Rice being in the team now should be helping with that. But I think, again, that probably comes back to what you said about where he's being asked to be. Because how well Rice moves side to side, if he plays in a deeper position, that really should funnel against and get rid of that problem.
Yeah.
But it is something that the brave teams are trying against you. Most teams aren't good enough to do it because they'll get mugged in midfield with just a two. But Chelsea are a good team, and people might disagree with that at the moment, but I think they're getting players back fit, and I think we saw with that combination of decorating their own box essentially in midfield with, like I said, Palmer and Gallagher as 10s and no out-and-out 9, that they have got good players in there. And suddenly, once you've done that, you've manipulated a man advantage in most scenarios. But yet you still had so much of the ball. But yeah, what you said about transition, you was in trouble.
Yeah.
Especially in that first half.
And this is another thing I've alluded to before is I think a potential solution to this is I think we're missing Thomas Partey's on the ball abilities. I'm sure he can be a little bit of a liability defensively. He's not the most mobile. And
is he any more of a liability than Jorginho defensively?
No, I don't think so, no. And I just think it's more, if you look at Rice and Partey's profiles as a pair and you get them together on the pitch, I think it gives you the combination of everything you need. I think Partey's ability to progress the ball incisively, offensively, is something we've been lacking, in my opinion. And yeah, I think quite a lot have been overlooking that. Even like the way he would punch it into Odegaard quite a lot. It's like, it's not quite there. But yeah, not to take anything away from Chelsea. It's just, but to give you the context of where my headspace was, when we were 2-0 down, I didn't think we'd be coming back. Even though
I thought you would be watching the game. Yeah.
Even though I've seen us do this time and time again, I've not seen enough consistently in terms of chance creation for me to think we're going to do this. And then obviously I was over the moon. We did.
Quite clearly, if Robert Sanchez doesn't give Declan Rice the ball, I think you would have lost.
Yeah, I agree. Raya, what's your thoughts on him?
I don't think that.
Do you think Mudryk meant it?
No. No. I don't know what the expectation is on that. Like, did people think that he should save it?
See,
he's miles above his head. He's got no chance.
I'm glad I think people are being way OTT on this.
I think there was more like the distribution for the one where you give the ball straight to Palmer and stuff like that was more concerning.
Yeah, that was, I think, context of like nervousness around himself and stuff. But
because that pass just wasn't
It was not on at all, no.
But I still think you're better with him than Raya would be my take, and let it settle down, right?
With him than Ramsdale? Or?
Yeah.
Cool.
You're better with Raya than Ramsdale, sorry. That's what I meant to say. He needs to adjust to the expectation of playing for Arsenal and what that is and the pressure that comes with it, etc. That's all. So stick with that. Although you've got Brentford soon, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you have Gameweek 13 or something, I think, from memory.
Okay.
And you can't play, right?
Yeah, away from home, November the 25th.
It's Gameweek 13.
Sure, yeah. Well, and because it's a loan, yeah. I'd assume.
So Ramsdale will play in that, won't he?
You'd assume so, yeah.
I mean, for that.
I don't know what the clauses of the loan are, but.
From a fantasy perspective, no, definitely not. I think Gabriel would be the one. I think Zinchenko's avoidable.
Yep.
Because I actually think Tomiyasu's done quite well when he's come on in periods recently, and I don't think it would be a huge shock if, say, Tomiyasu played against Sheffield United. So you're really looking for Arsenal. I think it's a clear free. If you wanted to go free, it's Gabriel, it's Saka, it's Martinelli.
Yeah. No love for Jesus? Right. I personally wouldn't, but just throwing another name out there.
No, I mean, I'm just thinking at the similar sort of value, Watkins, Alvarez,
there's too many
Nunes.
Others.
I'd rather all three of them. Even if you were going with the no Haaland route, it would be those three rather than Jesus for me.
I thought Cucurella did a really good job on Saka with his kind of front foot defending and so. I feel like it's happened a couple of times when.
I mean, Chelsea defended really well.
They did, yeah.
Chelsea played really well.
That's the thing. I don't want to take anything
Chelsea
away.
Chelsea deserved to win the game.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Just the momentum swung massively and quickly because of an error, and that can happen. And you know, people, he's just got to knock it long. You listen to Alan Shearer Saturday night. He's just going to knock it long. Well, no, he's trying to play a pass to Enzo Fernandez. It doesn't work. And Rice reacts.
His anticipation is a joke.
Yeah, it's the longest distance goal for an Arsenal player in the Premier League since
2007 or something, wasn't it?
Started producing their records. Yeah.
Just one thing I would say, because I do agree Chelsea were the better team. Their goals were a penalty and a mishit cross. Like there wasn't many moments where I looked and thought, okay.
So there's the Palmer shot in the first half
where it went just wide of Raya.
It was a great effort. He and Jackson in the second half both end up with one-on-ones where they end up trying to go round Raya. Yeah. And he wins it. These are big chances. I mean, the Jackson one, the Palmer one happens really quick, and Raya actually reacts really well after giving the ball away. The Jackson one, when Sterling puts him through, why he doesn't just hit it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Jeez. And I think that was the 2-1.
I think it was that 2-1, yeah.
Just hit it, mate. He was so hesitant about it. Frustrating.
Yeah. Someone that I thought did.
So no, I think they did have moments.
Okay.
The goals are look, it's a cross all day, every day. He never looks at the goal.
Someone that I did thought did well when he came on was Havertz. I thought he was a good kind of target up front, was linking play quite well and just gave us a different option to go more direct. That's one thing I was thinking during the game was it clearly wasn't working trying to play through the midfield. So that's why I was thinking I quite like Havertz as an option in terms of go over the midfield and kind of through it sort of thing. No, not through it, but yeah. But yeah, a little bit, like I've said before, a little bit concerned about Arsenal offensively, hoping it's one that.
So would you not bother then?
That's why I've left it, mate.
Saka, Martinelli.
I mean, don't get me wrong. When I left it on Wildcard,
Sheffield United and Burnley next 2 home games. I know it's got Newcastle away in the middle of that.
So that is not me saying they are bad fixtures. My thing is a general trend concern with Arsenal. So I think against Sheffield United and Burnley, we'll be absolutely fine. We'll create enough chances to hopefully score enough goals. It's more
You'll wallop one of them.
I think so as well. Yeah. But I think there's a reason that it's been 9 games now. But we looked at the pod last week, and offensively, statistically, we're mid-table. I don't think that's to be ignored.
Same also applies to Manchester City at the moment.
Fair.
So,
but it's the kind of eye testing, right? It's just something's not clicking. Like it's not there fluidity wise for me offensively. But that is not that is not to put anyone off against Sheffield United and Burnley at home.
Let's talk about a team that obviously is playing with huge fluidity at the moment, Manchester United.
Yeah.
There's your segue, Clayton.
Yeah, I gathered. Yeah, I didn't think you were just saying that for me to go back and talk about Chelsea, Arsenal. Yeah, 2-1 away from home.
Palmer's obviously a very good option.
Yeah. 4.9 mil and on pens.
Yeah, but I think I'd go with Dingra, like I said at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd chance it, I think.
Yeah, Man United. I didn't see this game. What was the vibe?
I watched all of it, but I didn't see it.
Okay. Like I said, I had a bloody Diego Dallo screamer on my bench.
To be fair, I was watching it on my phone and was with people, and obviously the rugby was on the TV as well, so I wasn't paying like huge attention to it, to the extent it took me about 10 minutes to realise that Sheffield United were playing a back four. Like I was not with it, honestly.
How many pints deep were you?
I don't know, and you
Double
don't
digits?
want to know. I have no idea. Not good. Not advisable. Please drink responsibly. Yeah, they changed part through enforcement because they're so short of defenders at the moment. Could be quite amusing if they play a back four against you. Despite what I just said about other teams kind of going 4-4-2 against you, yeah, I wouldn't want Sheffield United to do that.
It's the quality of personnel, right?
Wouldn't want them to do that. But do you know what? They acquitted themselves pretty well in this. I think for the first half hour, they were the better side, in my opinion. And then United scored a scruffy goal, which was really well taken by McTominay in the sense the way he controlled the pass from Fernandes on his chest and managed to get over the ball in terms of the strike. But it was an ugly goal. I think Sheffield United will warrant for something out of this for the majority of it. They tired and faded a little bit, and obviously the longer it went on, the pressure obviously became for Manchester United to obviously score the winning goal. And they missed a number of chances. You know, Rashford had chances. He was very good for England last week, Marcus Rashford. Bruno had a few efforts.
Hit the bar with a free kick, did he?
Yeah, Bruno hit the bar with a free kick.
Amrabat's shot was scorching.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, it's a brilliant goal from Dalot. I think the goalkeeper would ask questions of himself there, actually. And I think he's done pretty well, Wes Foderingham. Good old League One Wes. But he gets two hands on it. And just that, I think you feel like you're going to want to save it.
Yeah.
It was a great strike from Dalot.
I thought McBurney's penalty was good.
It was a good penalty. He's got an injury, we think, which that's also a big problem for Sheffield United next week because he relieves the pressure. He really is. He would give Gabriel a proper battle next week. And Gabriel's one of them who likes that kind of physicality match-up and stuff. McBurney's clever. Like, he's not a great player, but he really can hold the ball up well. He'll be a massive miss if he doesn't play. I will remind you that he didn't play the Newcastle game. And that's not to say that you'll win 8-0 at the weekend, but it will be a massive, massive miss if he's unavailable. Ryan Brewster obviously came as a sub, had a really nice shot in the second half as well. But I'd be concerned about Brewster and Archer playing up against you.
Yeah.
And I'd be concerned if either of them play on their own against you. So the solution for them probably would be, in my opinion, try and get Gustavo Harmer further up the pitch and solidify it somewhere else. But yeah, I'd be very concerned for them at your place at the weekend, despite playing pretty well. And it's a good result for Manchester United. Good result. The club obviously had a difficult day with the Sir Bobby Charlton news. Yeah. The kind of 8 o'clock Saturday kickoff kind of had the hallmarks of kind of potential
banana skin vibes.
Kind of a little bit with how they've been. They've had some bad results, obviously, particularly in the Champions League with the Galatasaray defeat a couple of weeks ago. They're getting players back fit offensively. Defensively, still question marks. Love these Harry Maguire stats that are going around at the moment.
I've not seen them.
Mate, Sky put up a statistic at the end of the game, which was like, I think it was since last November or something, that Manchester United's win rate with Harry Maguire was like 90%, and it's like 54% without or something.
World class.
But then you need to look into the games that Maguire's played over that period.
Nico said he was man of the match.
Maguire, is that right, Nico? Yeah? Yeah? You played it right, yeah. Terrific, yeah. Varane will come back in for the Manchester Derby, fairly sure about that. And I think Lindelof will go back centre back. He's a bit awkward at left back. He's doing fine, but it's just a bit awkward to look at. I think from the fantasy perspective, those who've been on United players have now got their excuse.
Yeah,
it's the Manchester Derby. You've got your excuse. It's sold a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas last week was sitting there going, I'd want to hold it all for Sheffield United. And let's be honest, they're a McTominay handball away from a clean sheet. Bruno's been very close to a bit of a haul. He's obviously got the assist from McTominay. Rashford's just scoring the game as well. He also had a shot which would have gone down as an assist where Fodringham saved from Haaland in the first half. So they all could have hauled. But yeah, bin that now. There's too many other good players in this game at the moment to be looking at the Manchester Derby and thinking, I'll keep it. And you know what? Ironically, playing City, someone like Rashford's going to have more space than he would have in a fixture like this. But yeah, I'd absolutely be selling it. That includes the goalkeeper at this stage now as well, I think. Despite the fact that after the Manchester Derby, the fixtures get really good again. They have a really good 3-game run afterwards.
So for game week 10 wildcarders, do you think any of them?
No, go without. I'd more be thinking, because the games are afterwards, if suddenly you think, I want to captain like Fernandes against Luton, for example, like leave the position to be able to do that if you decide you really want to do it. There's too many other good midfield options, I believe, at the moment to want to carry them through. Come back for it again if you have to. I don't see anyone wildcarding and going with Manchester United players, despite the fact after City, there's some really good fixtures. Could you go Dalot for like rotation? Yeah, cool. Absolutely. Particularly with this week when you could easily play something like Cash, Trippier, Saliba, or even like Udogie, and it all looks great, right? And you'd happily bench Dalot this week. So from that perspective, yeah, fine. Onana's too much from a price perspective to be using that as rotation, I think. And there are just too many other good players to go with Fernandes or Rashford, in my opinion. I think Haaland as well, same. I'd rather have Núñez, Alvarez, Watkins, any of that. I'd prefer to have. So come back to it if you want to. It's sell for me.
And fantasy aside, concerning for Sheffield United, foot of the table, 1 point.
Yeah, of course. And what's interesting about sort of Bournemouth, Burnley playing each other this weekend is Sheffield United have had difficult fixtures but don't get good. Luton have had good fixtures and their good fixture run is now over. Bournemouth and Burnley are obviously coming into their moment now as well. The problem for them is you don't see goals in them, and I don't see them keeping clean sheets. Yeah. And that's just an obvious...
a bad recipe.
Like, I look at Burnley at the moment, I think you're going to concede too many goals. But I think there's something there offensively. At the moment, with Sheffield United, it's just a combination of not much expectation offensively and not much expectation defensively. And I would expect you to beat them very, very comfortably.
I bloody hope
Saturday. So. And that's why Saka's certainly under consideration for captaincy for me.
Makes sense. Over to the final game of the game week so far.
And so too is Ollie Watkins.
Yeah. Villa. 4-1 against West Ham at home. And that's at home now. So 4 against West Ham, 6 against Brighton, 3 against Palace. What was that before? 4 against Everton. Ugh. And then what was the stat you said before about, was it 11? Well, now 12 unbeaten at home.
11 Premier League home wins in a row.
Against West Ham as well. Like, I feel like this may get lost. Like, West Ham are a good side.
West Ham don't normally get beat like that.
No. Yeah.
To be honest, by the end, it was probably deserved. I mean, Villa had a little bit of a wobble after Bowen's goal, which, by the way, if you're a Jared Bowen owner, keep your points and keep quiet about it, because I think the shot's going wide in the first instance. But yeah, cool, whatever. I got him in Sky Fantasy, so I'm happy about it as well. And they had a little bit of a wobble from there, or I suppose wobble would be harsh. It was more West Ham sensed an opportunity very briefly in the game. We're getting well beat here. Oh, we've got back in it and got lifted, which is then killed by a brilliant piece of play, originally by John McGinn, and obviously then finished off fantastically well by Ollie Watkins, who he really is on fire at the moment. So Villa were thoroughly deserving of victory. West Ham, I felt, were a bit flat. Villa had a number of outstanding performances. Douglas Luiz obviously gets the headlines for the 2 goals as well. Absolutely brilliant in midfield. I like the rotationals they have in the team, where you can be starting with sort of John McGinn's playing right midfield, but then they'll be in possession. He's in centre midfield, and Kamara's dropped into right back. That's then allowed Cash going right midfield. I think they're doing more cute little nuances with their system than people realise. Like they're thinking like a top team.
Yeah.
To be totally
he's
honest.
a top manager.
He is. I'm sure all Arsenal fans agree with that sentiment.
I think most Arsenal fans think highly of him, just at the time didn't think he was the right fit for where we needed to try and get back to. That was all.
Chief.
Yeah?
Chief. Look, really good from Villa. And you would only look at the next fixture and think that will be another home win, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that they... I think Watkins is probably maybe a better captaincy shout than Saka, is what I keep telling myself.
Okay.
But I don't, just purely because I think, let's just say both teams win 4-0. I feel like Saka could miss. Watkins won't miss, if that makes sense. I don't mean missing shots.
No, you mean how it's spread.
Martinelli might get 2, Odegaard might score, Jesus might score. Do you know what I mean? With
I
Villa
don't know, I would slightly push back on that now.
I just think they beat Everton 4-0 when he only got an assist in Gameweek 2.
Well, not to disagree on Watkins, just more, I feel like Saka's adding consistent end product to his game now. I feel like every game I look at where Arsenal scored, he's involved, which I feel like has shifted a little bit. I'd need to check statistically if that actually adds up, but I'd say it has shifted slightly.
Yeah, that's a really tough one for me, captaincy Saturday. Saka injured in the Champions League would do me the right favour.
Take that back. Take that back.
Forcing Mo Salah and just take the decision out of me. No offence, Bako.
I want to swear at you right now, but I can't.
You can swear at me, mate. It's absolutely fine.
Was this a 4-1 game?
It probably was by the end.
Again, I'm looking at stats and I didn't watch the game. So I'm looking at XG 1.94 to 1.16.
West Ham were sloppy. I mean, Sudge's back on Wednesday. We'll see what he says and stuff. But I think it was sloppy. The ball was on all the time for them over the top, like it is for most teams against Villa, and the distribution primarily wasn't good enough. Bowen was a real threat during the course of the game, but Paquetá had a really strange performance.
Right.
He played like someone who knew that the game was on television.
In what sense? Just too flashy, not doing the basics and stuff?
Exactly that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Because he had some unbelievable touches.
Right.
Where you thought, he's taking liberties here. Like, he looked like a player really full of confidence. But off the ball stuff, not good. And it does feel a little bit like West Ham are compensating him at the moment. That's not to say he should come out the team. And this is the first time I'd really spotted it. But they're kind of shoving him into this sort of left-hand side position, which obviously he can come inside and then Emerson can go further forward. But they'd probably be better off structurally using him as a 10, as they did kind of really late in the game. That would mean Souček coming out the team, but that's probably also what would allow Mohamed Kudus to come in the team.
Yeah.
Also, James Ward-Prowse, I think, is playing deeper again than people wanted him to be from a fantasy perspective. I've been clear throughout, pay the extra for Jared Bowen where possible, and I see people wanting to kind of move that now anyway and get to Jared Bowen. It'd be the standout for Villa. Obviously, Matty Cash defensively, he's still really good options, popular. Watkins is a legitimate big captaincy option, in my opinion, this week. I think Moussa Diaby...
You just stole my next question.
He's probably leave.
What's going on there?
I don't think it's better than Mitoma. Let me put it like that.
So I've not watched Villa closely. Position, why is he not returning?
So I think they're cute how they move players in position. So he kind of plays almost like a hybrid sort of right side midfield / forward position. But I think there were games earlier in the season where he was almost playing just like an out and out right up front with Watkins.
Okay.
And on the face of it, it does look like that quite a bit. But for example, what they were doing yesterday in terms of their movement was Zaniolo going into sort of left 10 position and Diaby pulling out into right 10 position, leaving kind of like a triangle shape with Watkins at the spear of that, and then pushing both fullbacks on more offensively. Because what we'd had earlier in the season, and what a lot of us obviously saw towards the end of last season when Moreno was playing, was this real bias towards Villa's left-hand side. What Emery's worked out now is he doesn't want to restrict either of these fullbacks. If you watch back like Villa's game against Everton, which I'd mentioned in Game Week 2, Matty Cash doesn't go forward at all. He just plays like a defensive right back. And there's games where they've done that and they've played like Ezri Konsa there at Wolves and Cash plays right midfield. But what he does, I think, definitely know is he wants Dean and Cash to get further up the pitch. So what they do is they pull Kamara into the right back position. That allows obviously Cash to go into that side. But then when you've got Dean coming the other side, you've got Zaniolo and Diaby both moving into kind of these 10 positions.
Okay.
McGinn moves into a central area to then join Douglas Luiz, and Watkins is the absolute spear of the attack. Could Diaby do well at any time? Yeah, absolutely. Really like him as a player. But I think where it might have looked like Diaby's worth the saving,
No.
pay for Watkins. And it's similar to that, like with Bowen versus Ward-Prowse as well.
So with that,
if you run Diaby, you're not coming off, I don't think.
But don't go there now as a new...
I wouldn't say don't go there, but I'd prefer Mitoma. I think it's cheaper. Sure. I'd rather go Mitoma,
For people that are on Ward-Prowse, would you do the air quotes sideways move to Bowen?
Yeah.
Yeah? No hesitation.
Yeah, definitely.
Sweet. And that's a wrap.
Same if it needed to be that Diaby would have to come out to make Watkins happen, same thing.
Yeah. Any more in that fixture?
No, other than Villa putting themselves in a real good position to make themselves contenders for something very, very good this year. And I think West Ham won't have many tougher games than that this year. They've got brilliant run of fixtures coming up. The only other thing, obviously, is, as I said earlier, Emerson's suspended for the Everton game. So it probably does mean if people do want to go for a defensive West Ham player on wildcard, I think Soufal will probably now become the go-to choice. But most are going to go with Areola, so it will largely get overlooked, I think.
Sure. And that's a wrap of the games so far. And it's your mob at home to Fulham tonight.
SB Avenue.
As I try and search for some fixtures, some questions, why don't you tell everyone what we've got on Patreon this week? El Patron.
On Patron this week. Q&A today. He's joining me for that. UCL Fantasy Matchday 3 preview tomorrow. He's joining me for that. And then we get to bin you off, thankfully. Such is back on Wednesday for Tottenham. Thursday, Nico's hosting a quiz on the Ballon d'Or. Friday be our Game Week 10 preview show, the differential show. Our regular content available to everybody this week is this podcast today. Tomorrow, Gary Robinson's joining me for the fan view on Manchester United. There's so much to talk about. Obviously, Sabobi, Sheikh Jassim pulling out a potential takeover, the part takeover from Ratcliffe, which there is some speculation, something might get signed today. Obviously, their performances in the league as well. Ten Hag, Maguire, there's a lot to talk about with Manchester United at the moment. Jadon Sancho, another. Anthony, there's loads to talk about. Wednesday, Sky Fantasy Football. Thursday's Clash of Correspondence says Bournemouth v Burnley with Neil Grover and Jack Toner. And Friday, no deadline stream, I'm afraid, because I will be at Selhurst Park. So not the deadline stream, lunchtime, with all the deadline stream graphics, but earlier in the day, and therefore I'll put it out as a audio before deadline as well. And if you want to buy tickets for the live show on Sunday, November the 5th, live screen of Forest v Villa, Luton v Liverpool, and then this podcast, but the Game Week 11 review with Suj, rather than you, live at 7 o'clock in the Thirsty Bear Pub in Waterloo, central London. Tickets are £5. All money raised goes to the Game Week 39 charity fundraiser. The live show is brought to you in partnership with our friends at FPL Meets. Come and support the show. It'll be a really, really good day out. I guarantee that. And I'm probably not going to own Mo Salah, so...
That's going to be fun.
I kind of want an injury to force me to do it.
Stop wishing injuries on people. What's going to happen? Tonight.
No.
Come on, Fulham.
In serious, if Sonny did get injured tonight, then I think that's the one. Yeah, it's going to be...
Lovely stuff. So I had a look through the questions, and genuinely, you've basically covered them all. Lots of kind of asking about Ward-Prowse to Bowen, Chelsea assets, is Palmer suitable, what to do with Spurs assets, lots of AVBs.
AVBs? I suffered that 10 years ago, mate.
Where is he now?
I don't know. That's one of the more entertaining managers I've seen at Tottenham in the last decade. No, not really.
So, we're going for one question today.
Is that it? Go on.
Yep. It's a tough one.
Go on.
FPL_Blue Nose. What's your fish and chip shop order?
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips,
Fish and chips. No, I wouldn't have a set. Like, if I'm boring, it's like a cod. I don't mind a bit of rock. It's nice. Sometimes you just want like a sausage and batter or something.
Yeah,
instead, like, fish is too much.
Have you ever had a deep fried Mars bar?
I've never had a deep fried Mars bar. And that's not through not wanting one. I just don't know. It's just never happened.
They're fucking banging.
I bet they are.
But yeah, I could feel my arteries clogging up, but it was worth it. Yeah. Are you a haddock fan?
Yeah, don't mind. I prefer rock, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a haddock kind of guy. And then there is actually one FPL question which I am intrigued by. FPL Quinner, Game Week 10 bench boost, ? Is that a thing?
Well, I think there's some that will land quite nice for that potentially. Obviously, wildcarders can't do that. I think if there was to be a week where you're going to do it randomly, this sort of one does come into play potentially because of the Carabao Cup fixtures afterwards. So you would think this weekend, most teams would go with their strongest team. All I mean by that is, as an example, if you were playing in the Champions League next Tuesday, I'd be more concerned about the likes of Saka, Martinelli on Saturday.
Yeah.
Because it's Carabao Cup afterwards. You would think, generally speaking, that they should play, as an example. So if you were going to do it, this sort of week would probably make more sense. You've got to land well, though. So I think, I'm trying to think from a goalkeeper perspective. People have like Areola, Turner. You've got Turner at Liverpool. That don't feel great.
No.
But there will be one. If you look at me at the moment, I would potentially have like Alvarez against United, Udogie at Palace, and Gusto against Brentford. Now, Gusto, I don't know if he's going to play. I would have thought Reece James would have played on Saturday.
Yeah, we didn't even mention him.
Surprised.
He's back,
Yeah, we don't need to mention him from FPL anymore, unfortunately, till he gets a proper run head of steam. And this is kind of like a game week 16, 17 conversation for him, maybe. So with me in that bench, wouldn't be enough for me. But there might be people that are landing with something like that, say a City attacker, Tottenham defender, and maybe a couple of other decent. Yeah, it could be considered, I think.
Fair play. See if it's as iconic as your game week 1 bench boost.
I don't think it was iconic. I did it for attention, remember?
Yeah, these bloody content creators. That's a wrap. 90 minutes, no extra time.
All right, cheers.
Mucho
Beautiful.
gracias.
That's it. How do we end this shit now?
Play it your way. Stay safe. Ciao for now. All of that good stuff.
Be nice to each
That's the
other.
one.
Cue music, please, man-child.
Bosh.
1 hour 30.
Bang
Look at
on.
that.
I need a wee.
And I've only got hypothermia in my right hand.
Are you actually really cold? My toes are quite numb.